I can't make an album right now. I can't make an album right now.
If you have any taste in music at all, then you know who Halsey is, and the chances are you may know about the situation with her record label right now, Columbia Records. In their own words, Columbia Records will not allow Halsey to make music. Now that's like really weird, right? Because Halsey's latest album, The Great Impersonator, which just had a deluxe version come out, it sold like pretty well. It did like 100k copies in the first week. It had a pretty high grossing tour. Like, everything seems fine, but she's barred from making new music because of low sales. What's with that? Like, that's weird. Oh, hi, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I really hope you're enjoying this video. I just wanted to come on and say that you look absolutely stunning today. Did you change your hair? Because it's really working. Anyway, now that I've complimented you, you should subscribe because I'm clearly really nice. Thank you. Let's get back to it. Halsey revealed in 2024 that they were diagnosed with terminal illnesses. They have lupus and a rare T-cell disorder. Halsey truly believed that she was going to die, and so that's where The Great Impersonator came from. Halsey made the album thinking it was going to be their last album. And as I said before, that album did 100k copies in the first week. That's not bad, right? But Halsey's record label doesn't think that. Halsey's record label wants them to be competing with artists like Ariana Grande on the charts again. They want numbers from Halsey from back when she made the Manic album, but Halsey doesn't make that kind of chart-topping music anymore. But compared to other artists making similar music to them, Halsey is killing it. I mean, she said that herself.
Because The Great Impersonator didn't perform that the way they thought it was going to. And if I'm being honest with you, the album sold 100,000 fucking copies first week. That's a pretty big first week, especially for an artist who hasn't had a hit in a long time.
Yeah.
The tour is the highest selling tour of my entire career.
Yeah.
But
doesn't add up.
They want manic numbers from me.
Right.
Everyone wants manic numbers from me. I can't do that every single time. It should be good enough that I do it once in a while. But if my record comes out and sells 100,000 copies first week with no radio play, no real support, and the comparison is, well, why isn't she doing Taylor Swift numbers? Are you fucking kidding me? I made an experimental concept album about how I almost fucking died. I'm not gonna do those numbers, but I'm doing pretty damn good. Those are strong numbers. It's still in the top 10 of female artists' first weeks, but it's not good enough because it's not what the pop star I once was, even though I'm actively making the choice to not be. If you actually compared me to the other types of artists who are making the type of music that I am making, I'm fucking killing it.
Yep.
But that's not what I'm up against. And because of that, I'm at the bottom of a category that I'm not in anymore, when I should be at the top of a category that I'm in now.
Halsey isn't an obscure underground artist, but they aren't exactly mainstream either, and their record label doesn't seem to understand that. The label thinks The Great Impersonator sold badly despite doing 100,000 copies first week and having a sold-out high-grossing tour, and also just being a really good album. So yeah, as I said, they barred Halsey from releasing new music. It seems that the most Halsey can do right now is release a Badlands Decade Edition for the 10th anniversary and a Great Impersonator deluxe version. Obviously this is completely unfair. Halsey released a deeply personal and really good album that Columbia Records did not bother promoting. Halsey has stated that all the impersonation photo shoots done in the lead up to the album were all entirely self-funded, for example. This is very common with record labels, I think. For example, Capitol Records with Katy Perry, who has found herself in a lot of controversy, especially recently. I'm not supporting her previous actions, at all, but she is a good example for this video, so forgive me. And that is because her album Witness, that was released in 2017, underperformed compared to her previous albums like Prism, Teenage Dream, One of the Boys. It still went #1 though and had a sold-out tour following it. But Capitol Records ever since then have neglected Katy and her career, refusing to promote her music since they potentially now see her as a waste of time and money and resources, the same way Columbia may with Halsey. This is a pretty big problem with many record labels, alongside the predatory nature from a lot of them. If an artist, predominantly female artists, is no longer performing as expected, they give up on that artist. There are many issues with major record labels, like as I mentioned, the label execs being infamously very predatory towards young, aspiring female artists, but that is a topic for another day. Record labels often expect artists to, especially female artists, to consistently one-up themselves and majorly outperform each previous release with their new albums. And when they don't, they get the treatment of artists like Halsey and Katy Perry, even though those artists still have a very dedicated and sizable fan base. Because of these high expectations and a lot of the time severe exploitation and control, many artists are leaving record labels to start their own. Marina started her label Queenie Records due to a lack of creative freedom from her previous label. Kesha, my favorite artist, started her own record label Kesha Records due to abuse, exploitation, and also lack of creative freedom, but that was absolutely not the main reason. But those are just two examples. And while Kesha's and Marina's circumstances were very different, they did at least have one thing in common for starting their own record label: a lack of creative control, and both artists, much like Halsey and Katy Perry, were not receiving promotion for their work, and ultimately were underperforming. Kesha stopped receiving as much promotion after she began speaking out against her abuser, and also not wanting to make the music that they wanted her to make anymore. And Marina did not want to keep making Electra Heart sequels, and her label didn't like that, despite the fact that Fruit performed pretty well. We do often hear people talking about how fans and the general public constantly expect evolution from female artists. Taylor Swift has talked time and time again about how female artists are required to constantly reinvent themselves and change in order to stay liked and to stay relevant, whereas male artists can do the bare minimum their entire career and just be fine. And Taylor is 100% right about this. Female artists are expected by the general public to reinvent themselves, but not so much that they're unrecognizable, and not so little that they're the same. They can never win with the public. Source is witnessed by Katy Perry that entire era. And initially I wanted to make the point that record labels forced this constant evolution too, but thinking about it more and doing a bit more research, I don't actually believe that that's the truth. I think that the interests of an artist label are wildly different from the interests of their fans and the general public. For example, Marina's old label wanted her to make another album identical to Electra Heart after that album did really well. But she refused, and where was the promo for Fruit? Maybe it was there, but it wasn't as strong. And then we get to her later albums like Love and Fear and Ancient Dreams in a Modern Land, and she was just not doing big numbers ever again. And that is the label's fault. And back to Halsey. She said that their record label wanted manic numbers from them again. They want them to be competing with huge artists on the charts again. But Halsey doesn't make that kind of music anymore, and that is why their record label won't let them release any more music right now. So no, actually, record labels do not want evolution from their artists the same way that the general public does. Once an artist has a successful album or song, the labels want them to constantly try to replicate that success, even if it means essentially making the same song over and over and over again. Ultimately, record labels are corporations, and their artists are just the products to them. And they will happily kill careers just to try and replicate the success that an album in 2012 had, because that'll either, in rare cases, work, or they'll find a new artist to just throw into the same cycle. So yeah, this was kind of sparked by Halsey releasing the deluxe edition for The Great Impersonator, and then I saw that interview she did with Zane Lowe start coming up more and more and more, and I thought I just initially wanted to make a video about Halsey and their situation and everything that she was going through because of her record label after the release of The Great Impersonator. But I got to thinking, and I was like, well, why not just talk about record labels as a whole? Because I don't think you ever hear anything good about them, Taylor Swift left Big Machine Records and then they sold all of her music under her nose, without her knowing. Kesha came forward about her abuse, and Sony Records did absolutely nothing because her abuser was producing lots of songs and making them a lot of money, So ultimately I thought this is a lot bigger than just Halsey, and why not talk about it? So I mean, I hope it was interesting. I have another idea that I would like to go through with, which I also hope is interesting to people. If I have any returning viewers, the setup is different because I moved out of my mum's house and now I live with my partner, and I don't have a dedicated space for myself yet, so I'm just in the living room with my Kesha vinyl collection situation on sofa with me, so I have like a bit of personality in my setup. So yeah, I hope this was enjoyable and informative, definitely, because I think people need to be aware because like ultimately the music industry, especially for young female artists, is very like exploitative. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I think that you should subscribe because it would make me happy, and you should also like and comment because it would be pretty cool of you to do that. And you're really cool. You're a really cool person. So thank you for doing that. And yeah, that's all I have to say.